Now you're watching Sunday Express, and the internet provides us with great opportunities, but there are also downsides, full of risks, including cyberbullying, exposure to inappropriate content, privacy breaches, and the horrifying threat of online sexual exploitation. So tonight we are addressing child safety online, and my guest is none other than Christine June Anyango, a resource mobilization officer at UNICEF Kenya. Thank you, ma'am, for making time.
Thank you for having me, Regina.
Now, let's start off. At what age did you allow your children to own smart gadgets? Let's pick it up from there.
Well, that's interesting. My children's friends, because I have to start from there, we're part of a society. They had smart gadgets, I think, from the age of 9.
Okay, 9.
And my children got smart gadgets at the age of 16 as a gift. But I gave my children smart gadgets with a contract.
With a contract?
Yes.
Okay.
I got a really brilliant idea of online, and my children signed a contract when they got their first phones. In a nutshell, the contract would read, the phone belongs to me because I bought it, but I'm giving it to you to enable you to use it. One of the other things I had was a promise that at no point in time will you use the telephone to take nude pictures of yourself and share it with anyone, or of anyone else to share with anyone.
Okay.
At any point, if you feel uncomfortable by anything going on your telephone, you would let me or your father know about it. It had other options on phone would be taken away, what kind of punishment it would, how many hours you would use. But yeah, they started at 16. They are now 22 and 20.
Now, because I'm a mom to a teen and a preteen, I think after this, you'll give me a soft copy.
I can give you a soft copy of that
particular contract,
because
yeah,
for sure.
This is the holiday season, and this is where a majority of our children, especially those who've done their national examinations, their home, really get exposed, the downside of, being online. Mm-hmm. And you've answered a question. Is there really an appropriate age in which a guardian or a parent actually can, use to say, like, this is when my kids can actually own a smart gadget or not? I mean, we're in a tech world.
For as long as that person is labeled a child by UNICEF standards is from up to the age of 18, they do have a right of supervision by their parents or their caregivers. So when making the decision to hand over a gadget to a child, you have to consciously make the decision knowing that there is also a requirement of you as the adult giving the child the gadget to supervise it and to engage with the child and give them a level of literacy that is needed for them to be effectively use the gadget. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say I would prescribe an age, but I would prescribe the necessity of the supervision and the monitoring and management of the child's use of that gadget, ensuring that the child has enough knowledge for them to effectively use that gadget. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can make the decision whether you're willing to engage that much or not when you're giving the child the gadget. That's what I would say.
Now let's look at the interventions that have been made so far in regard to safeguard children online. So Kenya enacted the Computer Misuse and Cyber Crimes Act of 2018. We also had in 2019 the Kenya government also launching the Child Online Protection Policy. From a private sector view, the legislation and the actual implementation on ground, is it working, or are we having a gap in implementation of these policies?
I think I wouldn't say we're having a gap. I think it would give me an opportunity to just talk about what we do at UNICEF. For example, we have a partnership with Safaricom and other service providers on the Giga project. The Giga project aims at using the computer literacy program, especially enabled in the CBC, to ensure that we achieve our Vision 2030, where we would like all public schools to actually have access to the internet. Especially when you see that globally, we've just received the State of the World's Children talking about the fact that every half a second, a child accesses the internet for the first time globally. So we are at an era where we have the largest amount of children actually getting access online. So for UNICEF, working together with our partners, the government and the private sector, our aim is to now enable children, one, to be able to access it, because it is a good thing.
Yes.
Technology is a good thing, and everyone has technology, and our children need to have access to it to be able to compete globally with the global world. But they need to learn to be able to use it effectively. But there's also a gap in the people who supervise the use, especially in schools, the teachers, for example, the access of the parents and the community around them of the same. So the risk in use of the internet is not actually just children. You must admit that most of us also who are not born with it are still learning the power that it has and how to use it.
And it is morphing every minute.
Exactly.
So it's a collective, from what I'm hearing, is that this is a collective effort, private sector as well as government coming together to ensure that the children are safe.
Yes.
Now, there's another question that a majority have been asking. We've been tracking global trends. Sextortion is now becoming the main issue that children are dealing with across the globe.
Exactly.
How do we, you know, even them going further to take their lives because of the pressure and that. But then the question a parent is asking them, how will I know that my child is being exploited online? What are the telltale signs?
I think they're the same telltale signs. You know, children are a mirror of the society. The exploitation is actually not just children; it's also amongst the grown-ups.
True.
But the signs are the signs of the child goes quiet. There's shame and embarrassment. There's confusion. But the most common sign is you'll notice withdrawal, maybe sometimes, or you'll notice a hesitance in you know, hiding the phone, or jerk movements when you and as a parent also, instinctively you can tell when a child is not okay. I think I can't overemphasize the need to be engaged and to be involved and to be present, so that you can see whether there's a slight behavior change. But also, I can't overemphasize the need for literacy. Literacy in terms of knowing where to go when you feel uncomfortable, when you see something and you're not sure about it, for example. Who do they talk to? Can they come to you? If they cannot come to you, what options do they have? You know, we have like a toll-free line where children can call in cases of abuse, for example. Do the children know the number? Can they use, and they can use it. Give them the freedom to use it. Who are the other adults in the environment? The teachers in schools, for example. Teachers have a very strong influence in children, and they need to be able to have these conversations and say, if you're not sure, talk to me about it. But also, even once a child feels like a bridge has been crossed and they've done something that's embarrassing or they do not like, we have to talk about it before it happens. It's really important to be prepared, so they need to know where do they go and who can they talk to.
That's a good, we're tackling the problem even before it happens, should the worst occur. Now let's go back to the toll-free line, because when I grew up in the 80s, we had called 999. I don't know if that line still works. I became an adult without having to actually dial that number, and for that I thank God.
Thank God, yeah.
Yes. So now what do we have for children right now?
There's a number 116. We have what we call Spot It, Stop It campaign, which is a social behavior change campaign by UNICEF, and basically it just talks about, you know, if you see something or you experience something, you can alert someone, speak to a grown-up about it, or you can report it by dialing this number, or to a person of authority, but do not keep quiet about it.
Do not keep quiet. Does it only tackle, you know, does it only serve minors? You know, we're in the era of gender-based violence and such. Femicide is also on the rise. Does it only just target minors, or is it an open platform?
I'm here as
so you just minors. So this is for minors.
Yes.
116.
Yes.
116.
Yes.
You can text, or you can only
also call. There's a cell phone number. I just don't have it right now, but I can give it. You can share it later, but you can call the number. Yeah.
So from where you sit, having been actively in this particular value chain, how does the future portend, you know, for, you know, safety of children online? Because we're not moving away from tech. In fact, we're making further inroads into tech. So what next? How does it look like?
I think legislation is also important.
All right.
Which is also an area that we work with. Our biggest partner, of course, is the government and the governance. And I think now it's time to begin to explore and see ways in which we can continue to protect children, because cyberbullying and sexually, it's a form of abuse, against the rights of a child, so to speak. If I was to speak about our private sector partners, for example, it's engaging and having conversations with people like us on what do we do with the products that we have, how can we explore ideas to work together in order to be able to create a safety space for the children, for example, because these children are our future. They are the future adults. You and I were once children, for example. And so what we do and how we bring them up now, of course, affects the kind of society that we have in the future. And you're right, we're not running away from it. AI is a conversation that everyone is almost having right now, and it's coming, and we cannot deny it. How do we use it? In UNICEF, we have what we call the Internet of Good Things, teaching you that basically spreading the mantra that it is just not a negative thing that you can use it for.
It's actually
and giving you the options. What are the good things that you can find within within the space? Yeah, I think it's not having denial, but accepting that it's there. And I'll go back to the word literacy, learning how to use it for the good of humanity.
Have you encountered resistance? We've heard cases where children come out, they are victims of abuse, but then the grown-ups handling them, the ones who are supposed to protect them, don't want that information out there because either they are perpetrators or they are aiding perpetrators. How have you tackled that within your value chain?
So I wouldn't lie to say that I've tackled it per se, but I would also say that stigma is one of the things that I guess is a norm in society every time something's new. Also the culture and the society that we grow up in is one where, of course, if like I said, children just mirror society, and if we feel that it's a shameful thing, as grown-ups, of course, it's a shameful thing for the children. And I think this Spot It, Stop It campaign is one of the ways, because it even involved border riders going around speaking about what's sexual abuse, what does it entail, what should you do when it happens, what is it exactly. There has to be more and more conversation about it so that it stops being something that we back off from or we talk about in whispers. The knowledge of what it is, how do we report it, and an acceptance that it happens, and we need to do something about it is important.
I want to give you 30 seconds directly to that camera. Your last message as we look forward, as we talk about matters of safety, also looking at matters of gender-based violence, that various players, including government and private sector alike, have said that it's a high time we stem this. And we're talking about safety of children online. One word as we close this conversation tonight.
Well, as we close this conversation, I think for me, I'd talk to the parents of children with regards to the protection and our responsibility really to the future of this nation. And the fact that we now have so much more access to telephones, we have so much more access to the internet, which is a good thing for our children, but it comes with a responsibility that we need to guide, we need to educate ourselves, we need to help the children learn, but we also need to help them know where they can go if they're in danger or they're in trouble. It's an issue that we need to talk about and not be silent about. It's an issue that we need to educate ourselves about and learn more about it. It's an issue that we need to walk our children through it so that they are able to enjoy the opportunities that they have, and so that they're able to participate in this global world on an equal footing with every other child in this world.
Thank you very much. That has been our guest tonight, Christine Junanyango, Resource Mobilization Officer at UNICEF Kenya, says that this is a clarion call to all to ensure that our children are safe while, surfing online. Remember, the campaign is Spot It, Stop It. And there's 116, a toll-free line if you're in distress. That the person on the other side of the line is ready to help. Now we cross over to the other side of the studio where we have my colleague John Jacob Curie in not too long, bringing us up to speed with what has been happening in the sporting arena. But that after this quick breather. We'll be right back. Sunday Express.